Somewhere tonight, a woman is scrolling Instagram. She is in bed. It is 11 p.m. She has worked all day, fed everyone, handled everything, and this is the first 20 minutes that have belonged to her. She is not looking for anything in particular, just unwinding, and then a photo stops her cold. It is Kelly Osbourne, except it does not look like Kelly Osbourne, not the Kelly she grew up watching. Not the loud, purple-haired, take-no-prisoners Kelly who made a whole career out of refusing to be what Hollywood told her to be. This is someone else. Someone smaller, someone tighter, someone whose face has been rearranged so precisely that the only way you know it is her is because the caption says so. Kelly did not just lose weight, she became the after photo nobody can match to the before. And this woman, like sitting alone in her bedroom at 11 p.m., puts her phone down and feels something she cannot quite name. Not jealousy exactly, not sadness exactly. Something quieter and more corrosive than either of those. Something that sounds like if she had to do all of that to look acceptable, then what does that say about me? That feeling has a manufacturer, and tonight we are going to talk about it. Because this is not a story about Kelly Osbourne. Kelly is just where the story happens to start. This is a story about a factory, a glam meat grinder that has been running since before most of us were born, that has processed generation after generation of women, and that just quietly retooled itself for a new era, while we were all busy congratulating each other on how enlightened we had become. The most dangerous thing about the new version is that it learned to speak the language of wellness. It calls itself health. It calls itself self-care. It calls itself clean living. So that pointing it out makes you sound like you are against women rather than against the machine consuming them. So, let us follow the money instead of the mythology. Here is the short version of a very long con. Beauty standards have never been about beauty. They have always been about control. Who has it? Who sells it? Who profits when ordinary women cannot meet it? The specific standard changes every decade, but the machinery underneath it never does. And if you want to understand what is happening to women in Hollywood right now, you do not need a history lesson. You need to understand one pivot point. The 90s. Not because the 90s did not just want thin. Thin was not sufficient. The beauty standard of that decade had an actual name. Not a nickname, not something critics coined in retrospect. The fashion industry named it themselves. Heroin chic, hollow cheeks, visible ribs, permanently exhausted, skin the color of someone who had not eaten since the previous administration. That was the aspirational look, and the women who could not achieve it naturally were told they were simply not trying hard enough. Magazines turned it into a business model. They photographed women at events, zoomed directly into their thighs, circled the cellulite like crime scene evidence, and put it on the cover with a headline asking if she was fat or just pregnant every week. Like it was reporting, like it was normal, like it was fine, it was not fine. We just did not have the language for it yet. And we had a warning. A very loud, very visible warning that we collectively decided to ignore. Madonna spent the 2000s and the 2010s doing exactly what the factory demanded. Shrinking, tightening, smoothing, showing up to events looking progressively less like herself and more like a prototype of something being tested in a lab. People laughed, people made memes, people called it sad, and then they scrolled past and did not connect what they were seeing to a system. They treated it as a personal choice gone wrong rather than a factory running exactly as designed. When she showed up to her 2023 celebration tour looking almost unrecognizable, the internet spent 48 hours mocking her. Nobody asked what machine had been running on her for 30 years. Nobody asked what it costs a woman to stay relevant in an industry that treats aging as a career-ending condition. We had the warning, we made it a punchline instead. Fast forward past 2 decades of slow grinding cultural shift, body positivity arrived. It felt real for a minute. Different bodies on magazine covers, brands using actual women in campaigns, the culture saying something it had never fully committed to before. And then, a family in Calabasas looked at all that progress, saw an opportunity, and built an empire selling the exact opposite message with a wellness label stapled to the front of it. The Kardashians did not invent insecurity. What they did was industrialize it. Waist trainers with affiliate codes, detox teas, workout plans designed to explain surgical results to an audience that deserved honesty and got a discount code instead. Women were allegedly traveling to other countries for procedures in facilities not always equipped for complications, according to multiple patient safety groups, chasing a body type being sold as achievable through squats and good genes. The beauty assembly line closed ranks every time someone asked a question. You are jealous. You are body shaming. You are not supporting women. Zero apology, zero accountability. Receipts incoming. And then, one morning without announcement or explanation, the Kardashians just switched the standard off. The curves deflated, the hips disappeared, the bodies that had been the template for an entire era shrank back into themselves overnight. And Hollywood did what it always does when it senses which direction the money is moving. It followed, without hesitation, without shame. The direction everyone started running was toward a syringe. Ozempic is a diabetes medication that causes significant weight loss as a side effect. There is nothing inherently wrong with it. Adults make decisions about their bodies. That is not the argument. The argument is what came immediately after. Because when celebrities who spent decades being publicly dissected for how they looked suddenly gained access to something that produces dramatic results with minimal visible effort, they used it and then lied about it, comprehensively, creatively, waving a green juice flex like a backstage pass while looking directly into the camera. Pilates. Sure, if the reformer is a syringe, like 40 pounds in 4 months is not portion control. That math never adds, and the women watching knew it did not add up. But they wanted to believe there was a secret they had not tried yet.
It's the weight loss drug that swept Hollywood.
So some doctors are calling for more research into the side effects of very popular diabetes and weight loss drugs like Ozempic.
It is literally the hottest drug in the country right now.
Ozempic.
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 6 a.m. lunchboxes waiting on the counter, and somehow they were still the ones falling short. There was no secret. There was a prescription. And the women who most needed to hear that were the last ones who were going to be told. That is not a private health decision. That is a public lie delivered to millions by people who understood precisely the weight of their influence. Some of them had built entire platforms on body positivity, written books about self-acceptance, sold wellness brands on the premise of loving yourself as you are. And then they quietly abandoned every word of it and credited the results to a consistent sleep schedule. Irony never rings the register. Profit does. But here is the layer nobody in the press is discussing properly. Ozempic introduced a side effect the Hollywood juicer was not remotely prepared for. When weight comes off that fast, especially from someone who did not have much to lose, the face does not get snatched. It collapses. Hollywood ordered shrink wrap, opened the box, and found tissue paper instead. The padding that keeps our cheeks human simply vanishes along with everything else. Skin loosens. Hollows appear under the eyes and along the jaw. The whole face starts looking like it is being pulled slowly toward the floor. You go from looking like yourself to looking like a considerably more haunted version of yourself. Almost overnight. On camera. In front of everyone. That part alone should have been the warning label on the box. And here is what nobody warned them about. Women going through menopause are already losing facial volume naturally, already watching their features shift without any help from a syringe. Add Ozempic on top of that, and the cheek collapse does not just happen. It accelerates. Doctors are seeing it daily now. Women in their 40s and 50s who took the medication and looked 5 years older in 6 months. That is not a glow-up. That is an ambush. Imagine a FaceTime filter freezing mid-call during your granddaughter's recital. That blank, locked expression that has stopped cooperating with the moment. That is what directors are seeing in dailies. Every single day. There is a name for it now. Hashtag sunken selfie. Real dermatologists, real offices, real patients walking in, asking what happened and what can be done about it. What can be done about it, apparently, is everything. Because Hollywood's answer to Ozempic face was the same as its answer to every other problem a woman's appearance presents. Fix it. Book the appointment. Get back on the conveyor belt immediately. So now we have a full industrial pipeline running through the entertainment industry, and nobody is putting it on a press release. Step 1. Take Ozempic to meet the thinness standard the factory decided was back in fashion. Step 2. Watch your face age a decade in 6 months as a side effect. Step 3. Panic. Your face is your livelihood, and it suddenly looks like it belongs to someone's tired aunt. Step 4. Book the deep plane facelift. Add the filler. Inject the Botox. Remove the buccal fat because apparently having any fat in your face at all is now a correctable flaw. Step 5. Emerge looking stunning in photographs and functionally unable to do the thing that made you worth watching in the first place. What comes out the other end is technically still a face. Symmetrical, smooth, lifted, it photographs beautifully. It looks incredible on a red carpet. And their faces can't flex. Not really. Not the way they used to. Acting is expression. Expression requires movement. The face is the primary instrument. The micro-expressions. The way emotion travels across someone's features before they have consciously chosen to show it. The involuntary responses that make a performance feel true rather than constructed. All of that requires a face that can move the way human faces are designed to move. Their faces can't flex anymore. The instrument has been altered, permanently. And audiences feel it even when they cannot name it. They just know something is wrong. The performance is not landing. They go home and watch something older and wonder why those performances felt more real. It is because those faces could move. Martin Scorsese said this publicly in 2003, that finding an actress who could express emotion non-verbally was becoming genuinely difficult because so many had already had Botox. Directors whisper about it off set. They cannot say it on record. When even Martin Scorsese is begging for a face that moves, you know the Oscars need Botox patches. That was 2003. Before the deep plane facelift became standard, before Ozempic existed, before the pipeline was fully constructed, and it has only accelerated since. Every year the procedures get more sophisticated, every year the results look more seamless in photographs, every year the performances get a little flatter, and the directors say a little less about why. Because you do not publicly state that your leading actress can't flex her face anymore. The factory does not permit that conversation. Here is what the factory genuinely does not care about: the quality of the performance, the longevity of the career, the toll of running a woman through this pipeline repeatedly across her working life. It cares about the output: small, tight, smooth, young enough for a red carpet moment, meet the standard, or be moved aside for someone younger who has not yet had to decide whether to get on the belt. And that someone is getting younger every single time, which is where the anger in this story should actually live. Because everything the factory is doing to the women inside Hollywood is being broadcast in real time to every girl watching from outside it. Every red carpet, every press tour, every before and after that goes viral with a comment section full of people typing goals. And she looks so good, and what is her secret? These girls are not seeing a medication or a surgeon or a pipeline that has been monetizing female insecurity since before their grandmothers were born. They are seeing a result, a body and a face that the factory has declared acceptable for this particular season. And they are doing math in their heads about what they would have to do to close the gap. That math never adds. It was designed not to. They do not have a prescription. They do not have a surgical team or a personal chef or a staff of people managing how they look. They have a phone, a feed full of images, and a willingness to hurt themselves that the factory has always counted on. And then there is Pamela Anderson, who walked the red carpet in 2024 without a single stitch of makeup. No filler, no Botox, no surgical intervention, just her face. Her actual face at 56 years old. And the internet lost its mind in the best possible way because it had been so long since anyone had seen a woman at that level of fame simply show up as herself that people did not know what to do with it. She was called brave. She was called revolutionary. She was called inspiring. Think about what that says. We have reached a point where a woman refusing to get on the conveyor belt is treated as an act of courage, where doing nothing is the radical choice, where simply keeping your own face is somehow a statement. The factory has been so effective for so long that opting out looks like activism. That is not a compliment to Pamela Anderson. That is an indictment of everything that made it necessary. According to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, cosmetic procedures among people under 30 jumped 45% in 2025. Under 30, not 40, not 50, under 30. The beauty assembly line found a new customer base, and it is not wasting any time. Here is something you can do right now. Mute any account that sells wellness but never shows a grocery bill. That is the tell. That has always been the tell. We watched this exact movie in the 90s. We called it Heroin Chic and spent 2 decades trying to understand the damage and piece back together the people it broke. We swore we recognized the pattern now. We swore we would see it coming. It came back in wellness clothes and called itself a glow-up. The body positivity era was not a revolution. It was an intermission. A rebranding pause while the factory retooled and figured out what to sell next. And what it landed on was the same product it has always sold. The same standard, new justification, same pressure, better marketing, same message dressed in the language of health and intentional living and listening to your body. And if you need proof that nobody is exempt, look at Margot Robbie. For years, she was held up as the last natural face in Hollywood, the one they pointed to when people asked if it was still possible to be a leading actress without surgical intervention. The proof that the factory had not gotten everyone. And then the recent photos started circulating. The comparisons started appearing. And the comment sections went quiet in that particular way. They go quiet when something confirms what everyone was afraid to say out loud. The factory did not rush Margot Robbie. It never rushes. It just waits until the pressure is sufficient and the opportunity is right. And then it processes. Because that is what factories do. They do not make exceptions. They make product, shrink, tighten. Once smooth over any evidence that you ever occupied more space than the factory decided you were allowed to occupy. And do not forget to tag the brand in your post about your wellness journey. Hollywood is not burning. That would require something loud enough to demand a response. What is actually happening is quieter and more methodical and considerably more effective than burning. It is a slow, deliberate erasure dressed in aspiration. The women being erased are smiling for the camera because that is what the factory requires. The women watching at home are internalizing the erasure as a goal because that is what the factory needs them to do. Nobody is going to announce this. And nobody is going to hold a press conference and explain the pipeline or apologize for the Pilates lie or acknowledge that the standard being set is designed to be unachievable for anyone without unlimited resources and a surgical team on retainer. The factory does not apologize. It just moves on to the next season and the next standard and the next generation of women who will spend their lives trying to meet it, and it will call that a glow up.